Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Business and Policy Dialogue. I apologize for this delay. When we are talking about digital governance and service delivery, there's been a bit of service delivery issues at our end, so apologies on that front. Nonetheless, we are here to sort of listen to two very interesting people who are with us. One, Shri Ravi Bhagat, IAS, Secretary Punjab Mandi Board and Special Secretary Governance Reforms, Government of Punjab. In conversation with Mr. Bhagat is Professor Aditya, who is an assistant professor in the economics and public policy at the Indian School of Business. The inefficient and poor quality of basic public service delivery is a long-standing policy challenge in India. In recent years, governments have attempted to address these problems by greater use of computerization of government services, furthering electronic procurement, promoting DBTs, creating digital identities for citizens, and transitioning to mobile or app-based applications. In this particular edition of the Business and Policy Dialogue, we will explore Punjab's experience with digital governance reforms. I now invite Professor Aditya to take over, welcome and introduce our guest and take the dialogue forward. Aditya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Guru. We are extremely delighted to have Shri Ravi Bhagatji joining us today. He's an IAS officer from the 2006 batch. He's an illustrious officer with an educational background and multiple degrees, Masters in Arts in Regional Development from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, an MSc in Public Policy and Management from King's College London, and a MPhil in Geopolitics of Integration, again from the JNU. Mr. Bhagat is a gold medalist. He has been awarded multiple awards. I can't list all of them for the lack of time, but I just want to mention that notably he was awarded the Best District Election Commission Office in the state of Punjab by the Election Commission of India, got a silver medal from the President of India for the Census 2000 for one census exercises. And most notably, he has received awards on having done a lot of IT initiatives in the state of Punjab. The President of India given a national award for best IT initiatives in elections, and he has been in charge of a lot of governance, mobile governance initiatives, and hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about some of them. On a reading his profile, I do want to say very few officers are in the Guinness Book of World Records as well, and Mr. Bhagat has created some world records by initiating campaigns against drug addiction and a variety of other social initiatives. So without further ado, Mr. Bhagat, welcome to ISP virtually, and I wanted to start off by essentially asking you to give our audience a very general overview before we go into the details about, the Punjab's experience with digital governance. So for someone who has no idea about what initiatives the government has taken, sometimes people often think, government is very slow in adopting digital measures. So what can you tell us about Punjab and its various initiatives in this space?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thanks ISP, Mr. Guru and Professor Aditya for having me here. So a lot of things are happening because of COVID. People have shifted from offline to online. So Punjab has also started this, having the structure where people can interact with government online and government can give services to the people. We have around 3 crores of population which we want to serve. So Punjab has done various activities. We know there are Suvidha Kendras, around 500 of them are in different block level, district level, which provide services. More than 400 services are given to them. And each day we are providing around 60,000 people with these services, which are totally online. So these are the front end where government interact with citizen at the block level and the district level. Then we have total mobile-based services around on M-Seva. M-Seva is a mobile app being done by Government of Punjab, where online services provided. You need not go to any office. You just have to fill the forms, and the services or certificates are made at the mobile itself. Then we have Government of India services, which we call Service Plus, These Government of India services are also given on Punjab's mobile app. So M Seva caters to that, Service Plus caters to that, and we also have a mobile-based application and an online system which we call it PGRS, which is Public Grievance Redressal System. So around 800 on an average complaints we get on our mobile app and web portal, and we provide services to that citizens. Their problems are resolved, feedback is given to them, feedback is taken from them, and we give services to that. More so during COVID, so Government of Punjab also did a COA app, which was done way ahead than what Aragya Setu came in. So we provided all the major information to citizens, the services, the laboratory tests, the passes system was done through the COA app, and we have around 68 lakh downloads of COA app till date, which means each household of Punjab was having that application. So many services like grocery services, lab tests being conducted, where the beds are available, where the clinic is, and how to reach to the doctor. That services was very helpful to citizens, providing information to citizens and services to citizens. So these are the various mobile apps, web applications, which we are doing for the service of Punjab citizens. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for this nice overview. One question that immediately comes to mind is one of the reasons, given my limited knowledge about the state, why this was able to get so much uptake, for example, with the adoption of the COVA app, is because it had an infrastructure in place before COVID. If they had to overnight build the digital infrastructure, it would have been probably much more difficult to launch such an application with the onset of with the onset of COVID, excuse me. What can you tell us about at the back end? So at the front end, doing these services for improving citizens is obviously great. At the back end, what is the architecture? Not necessarily the technical details about the operational, but like the data center, the governance society. Like, what are those bodies that have been critical in getting this reform process underway in Punjab?
So in governance reform, so I am having a two role, to play. One is the front end, where we have a society, we call it PGRS society, which is Punjab State E-Governance Society, which is a front end, which gives you Suvidha Kendra with all the manpower which deals with the citizens. Then another part is like I am also special secretary governance reforms, where we have the data center looking after data center, the policy formulation, the acts, the law which governs all these policies. Then we have CDOs, chief data officers, chief technical officers, who is heading by them. They are having a team of around 100 odd technocrats who looks after all the technology measures. Then we also have a chief technical officer who is a main architect of technology, who links different silos, data available in different silos, and how it can be correlated. To give you one example, like a small example, we recently launched birth certificates. So birth certificates initially were given by the municipal committees or municipal corporations. So data was with them, data was not with the health. So health used to send the birth death data to them, and then they used to issue the certificates. So these were in different silos. Then with our chief data officer, we made these silos into one block. And what we did was we authorized private hospitals to issue the certificate. So as and when the child is born, the certificate is given to him or her, the parents basically. So earlier these silos, they were not talking to each other. So entrepreneur architect was made so that these silos are clubbed and the data starts talking to each other. The same thing we did for farming sector. Because the aim was, like, if I am born today, so the day I reach 16, so I should be the government should hand over my learning lessons to my doorsteps, then and there itself, without me applying to that. Then if a person dies, so there are 3 departments which are directly linked. One is the election commission, the election vote should be cut. Then is the pension should be cut immediately if a person dies. Then your ration card, it should be immediately deleted. So we worked on that so that this data which I am having, like if a person dies and he or she goes to Shamshan Ghat and the relatives get that slip, the person has died, and the certificate gets generated then and there itself. And this data flows to the different departments. So this is the architect we worked on, and we have shared that data. Main aim is the citizen should not come to my office and ask for this certificate for this data. The government should proactively give these services to the citizens. So this is my right. If a person is born, he should be given a certificate. If there is death, then the simultaneously the certificates are given. So this is what we are working on as a governance reforms.
Yeah, so this is all very interesting. I'm not, some people sometimes may not be aware of the variety of initiatives the government is already taking in different spaces. I do want to highlight the role of Seva Kendras. It's an interesting hybrid model because all service cannot be done on the application, on the mobile application, because of variety of challenges in rural India. Although Punjab is extremely developed compared to the rest of the country, there are still pockets where internet connectivity, 3G internet, and so forth is a problem. So when we are talking about this hybrid model, where there is some front end physical office where people can go in to submit their application, and that transition into an offline, the offline application transition into an online application. One of the questions that I wanted to ask is, some services are completely online, like no government physical file is even made. I'm not sure if many people are aware of this. To me, that was a kind of a very interesting development. What I wanted to understand from you was, how challenging is it to shift from this offline world into this online world? There is not easy. I know there, the details are messy, but operationally speaking, can you give our audience an idea about the logistical challenges that often officers like you face in developing systems that has to take into account some of these challenges, working in a setting like Punjab?
Yeah. First and foremost is the digital illiteracy. The division between haves and have-nots. People are not very well versed with the technology, and no doubt they're having smartphones. But maximum people who are using these smartphones only use for Facebook and WhatsApp, which we cannot say they are digitally literate. So we have that disadvantage of people using mobile smartphones for their services. Then is the training for our staff. No doubt the person who is sitting on a window, who's taking the application, he's digitally literate. He'll take your application, fill the data, and send it across to the departments. But the person who's sitting in a department who has to deal with it, so they're handicapped. So what they are not. We started e-office. Now the file work is not more there. All the departmental work has shifted to e-office now. It's online file. But the person who is sitting on the desktop and using that, he takes half an hour to deal with the file, opening up, using digital signatures, getting the OTP, filling the OTP, and then doing the file. So it's not easy work for them, because see, most of them are 30 years of service they have put in. They are around 55. They'll be retiring at 58. They don't want to use the desktop. So what they'll do is, the via media, what we have found is, we gave them data entry operators. So we have given IT assistants to them, data entry operators to them, so that they should not feel handicapped, and they should use the file system, online file system. The second major challenge, apart from the citizens and our staff, is the IT infrastructure. So no doubt it has a cost. We started doing the online bidding system. We have created the system where online bidding is done. People do e-tendering, e-auctions are being done. But still, a person who has to bid, he's also not well versed with. Suppose, I'm not talking about Microsoft, Apple, who are well versed. They're small tenders, because tenders are very small in department. If we talk about departments, so he is not able to fill. We have to go by L1. So L1 rate comes higher than what we have procured earlier. So this is the technical, you can call it red tapeism or handicapped, or people who are not well with the IT system, they will not adopt that. So there is a resistance. We no doubt we have to do hand holding, but I am very sure time will come, because the young generation which is coming now, they are well versed. So in 5-6 years down the line, I think everybody will start using these smart systems, online systems very happily.
Yeah, this is all very interesting. We're already getting some questions in the chat, and I'm going to integrate them in the talk. So I encourage everybody who's listening in to please ask your questions. One very important question, I think this is a distinguishing feature of Punjab. The question is, what these tech systems, are they built in-house or are they built external vendors? And this person wants to, it's an anonymous question. They're interested in understanding specifically about M-Seva, but I think you can speak more generally, because I think what distinguishes Punjab is it's all in-house. It's not completely outsourced to some big tech firm who's doing on your behalf. So can you talk a little bit about the vision? How did this come about? How was this idea made? Ki isko in-house karenge, and a little bit about that as well. Thank you.
Everything, I think 99% of the things are in-house, because it is ultimately we sitting in a government knows what the problem is. No doubt we have seminars and discussions with the stakeholders, the citizens who are really at the receiving end. But in-house development is easier for us because it's an interaction between government officials, because we have around 50 departments. We have to interact with them and then find out a solution. To give you an example, M-Seva is totally in-house, because we develop the forms. It's around 10 lakh downloads which has been done on M-Seva. We are not doing outsourcing. Outsourcing is generally done where the departments ask us to develop a website. So website is the easiest thing. So we don't do it in-house. We give it to either NIC do it for us, or to a third vendor. But where it is the form building, then you have to develop a software, then we do it in-house, because there is a BPR exercise also which we do, business process re-engineering. Because ultimately what we want to lower down the compliance burden of the citizen, reduce the levels, and then develop a software. So the M-Seva is done here. COA was done by us. COA came in February 2020, before Arogya Setu or Kavach was launched. We did it in-house. We gave to 11 states also the code, so that they can also use during COVID, because we learned it from Koreans, China, what software they have used. We saw them and then we built it in-house. Most of the things are done in-house in e-governance society only.
Yeah.
No doubt, software engineers are taken. We take it on our role, we pay them, but we don't outsource the whole software to anybody else. Because the major issue is, generally when big companies come, I don't know whether I should say it on this platform or not, Microsoft or DHL, the major companies, they don't give you code. So code is the property which is, I think, which should remain with the government, because we have a data privacy. Then if the code doesn't come, then you have to reinvent after 10 years, 12 years. We have seen this. TCIL, HCL, two of the big firms, they came, they didn't give us the code. I don't know what agreement was done at that time, 15 years back. They never thought this will be so anything. The coding was not taken. So we have to reinvent the wheel. Now we are not taking that chance. We develop in-house, the code remains with us.
Yeah, this is, I think, one very interesting point that you have mentioned about the benefits of doing it in-house as well. You can, as you're saying, you can outsource some challenges outside as well. But the in-house also is a consultative process. It happens with the private sector. It happens with input from the NGOs and a bunch of foundations working in this space. Very good. The next question that I wanted to talk to you about was this idea about the state data center that you had mentioned. There are different data sets lying with different departments. They don't speak to each other. They're not interoperable, or that wasn't used to be the case earlier. I know there's been some progress we made on that front. What can you tell us about the vision going forward? Because part of it is in the next 5 years, how do you see that thing evolving, and what can we expect on that front in the coming few years in Punjab?
Yeah. So what was happening earlier? We started this 2.5 years back. The data center was not there, and no security was done. Either it was cloud or somewhere, data centers lying in Bangalore and Bombay, which were being used. So we established our own data set because the server, the cost is less, it's efficient, and now it's us, our officials who are managing that. So some problem comes up, we are immediately there to resolve that. So data center has been established in under e-governance society. We are maintaining that. It is being done in-house. So if I give you a small example, like I am Secretary Mandi Board also, we are into in procurement. There are around 7 agencies which are involved in procurement. So each agency is having different data sets. Nobody talking to each other. So our aim was, we started this 1.5 years back when we wanted each data set to talk to each other, and the data should lie with us, in the centrally controlled data center. Post harvest and pre harvest, there are two functions. Then post harvest has 6 agencies. You have Markfed, you have Pansab, you have warehouse, different agencies who procure the produce. Around 180 lakh metric ton of paddy and 130 lakh metric ton of wheat comes to us. Farmers are huge. There are around 8.5 lakh farmers which are involved. Then you have around 1.5 lakh employees who are involved in procurement process. Then you have private person, you have chairmen of market committees, different. So this data set was not talking to each other. We were not knowing how many farmers are coming, how many J farms are being issued, and how much payment is going to be made to these farmers. We don't know. My Mandi board was not knowing what food and supply department is doing. Food and supply doesn't know where the storage is going to take place, how much storage has taken place, and they were not knowing how much produce has gone to PDS, the public distribution system. So now we have only one set of database. The day farmer enters my mandi, the gate, the it is cut, the auction takes place, the procurement takes place, it goes to the storage house, and it finally goes to the PDS system and to different states of India for distribution. So end to end, not only computerization, the data feeding, but also knowing which farmer has come with how many produce, how much payment has been done, and this produce is being sold at what, no, is distributed at which state. We are having all of the data. If today I want to know how much income of one particular farmer is there, how much land he's having, because we have done land integration, we have done direct benefit transfer, we are having all the data. So data is very informative. So we can use this data for various purpose. Now if I want to give a fertilizer subsidy, earlier because this data was not talking, I was not knowing which farmer is having how much land and how much subsidy he needs to have. Now I give information from this data only to government of India. This farmer is going to have this much subsidy on fertilizer, this much subsidy on the machinery he's using. If I want to loan my machinery from a cooperative society, this data also I am having. So this data is totally centrally located with us, so we can know everything about a farmer just a click of a button. So this is what we have managed to do in 1.5 years.
Yeah, and I think for those of who may not be very familiar with the Punjab context, I must say some of these initiatives have taken place in just a matter of months. So the amount of work that has happened, the intensity of the work that happens, and how quickly the transition happens, you'll be surprised. At least I was surprised to learn that one season it's all offline, and then immediately in the next Ravi season things have completely moved across all mandis, and we're talking about like 4,000 mandis, hundreds of market committees across all districts, and these are like 8 to 10 lakh farmers. Right? It's not a small number of people who whose details we are talking about. One anonymous question, and I think we've already answered this, but I wanted to maybe frame it differently. The question is, how has a Punjab citizen adapted to this? But I want to change the question slightly. One worry that civil society has when you start collecting this data, because it's good to identify people, but then it becomes, government will become the big brother, like they will collect all this database and then they will begin to have surveillance. There's always a concern about privacy, and we know Supreme Court has these judgments on privacy as a fundamental right. What is the thinking in the bureaucracy, when it comes to this trade-off between privacy vis-a-vis, collecting more information. Some people say privacy doesn't matter for the average person; it only matters for people like you and I in some elite circles. Is that the like, given that you speak to so many farmers and a variety of different citizens regularly, is that a concern that has come up right now? Will it come up in the future? Because maybe right now it's in the in the infancy stage. But I want you to I want to talk a little bit about that big concern about the more data you collect, what will the government do with it? That's the main
That is the
fear
cause
that
of
some people might
concern.
have.
That is a cause of concern for Government of India, Government of Punjab, and citizens also. So we came up with around 5 months back. We have already legislation have been done. So data privacy policy is there in Punjab. I think we are the first in the country to implement that. We are very very particular about privacy of our citizens' data. No doubt, people are concerned because during COVID also we saw so many news. When we started COA app and we started gathering data, health status were coming in. Then people were worried. There was news in the newspapers. What about the privacy? Privacy, we are very very particular. We don't, because that's why I talked about it's a centrally controlled data center. We don't allow. It's the firewalls are there. The technical expertise that data should not go out somewhere. So we came out with data privacy policy. The act is there. So it's a criminal offense if somebody tries to breach the act. Then also, if we do any third party outsourcing, we have a non-disclosure agreement with them, which is a legal document. They cannot share this data. Data is with us. Aadhaar, we take Aadhaar because Aadhaar is one thing which we are very concerned. Even I am concerned. If I have to give somebody my Aadhaar number, I am very particular because it's ultimately KYC, my bank accounts, my PAN card, everything is related to Aadhaar. So Aadhaar, what Government of India has given concurrence is we can use Aadhaar data for the government purpose. Anywhere where we are giving any benefit to citizen, service to citizen, we can use that Aadhaar data, but it is camouflage. You will not be able to see. Only government officials will be able to see. Only to a particular extent, whatever citizen's identity I want to see. It's a 111. It's not that I want to open everybody's Aadhaar number, I'll be able to see. It's not like that. If a particular person I want to see Aadhaar number, I can see, but I have to write down why I am seeing that. Otherwise, it's decrypted. You will be only given services. The Aadhaar is basically an identity where we are using. If you are supposedly a pensioner or if you are having a ration card and ration goes to. So if I want to check, or a third party audit happens and they want to check whether the same person having the similar Aadhaar number, same Aadhaar number has been given the service, only to that extent. We are not giving any access to Aadhaar information or KYC information to anybody. During in a lighter way, during COVID, because 68 lakh people downloaded, which means every household having a COA mobile app. So many advertisement agencies approached government. So we'll give you revenue, so you share the data, we want to use the data. But there was a clear stand taken by government. This data is not going to go anywhere and nobody is going to come on our platform. So we didn't do it. It was totally used for the services and benefit of the citizens.
Yeah, I think that kind of stuff I'm trying to imagine. Yeah, scenario like imagine like your news feed and then Cova app, people start getting ads. It would be kind of disconcerting for some people, definitely at least. So this is all useful to know. One specific question that I have is, imagine there's a block development officer or there's a tehsildar in Punjab. What access do they have to the data? For example, can they look into like I'm in Mohali, can they Google my name? Well, search my name and say, okay, this person, how much can this person really see? Do they only see some bit of my information? Do they see everything? That is something that, people often are concerned about. How have you kind of addressed that challenge?
Yeah. So generally at the field level, we only give access to information of data. So they have to fill and they can only see what data they have filled. So if a block development officer who is equipped with giving pensions to a citizen, so he'll be able to fill the data who is eligible with all age, his parameters, the demographic information he'll going to fill, and then he is only able to see whether after the eligible whether this person was given pension or not. That's all. We don't give. Editing is not possible at his level. It's the HOD level who has been given this power to edit the data, if at all, and without not without giving any remarks, why it is being done. So it's only informatory, and wherever he is, using the data for the welfare of citizens, only some video will be using for pensions. He will not be able to see the health data. It will be the CMO who will be going to see the health data. So this access of seeing the data is only limited to whatever he needs to see, not the whole of the data.
Yeah, the need to know principle is very important. That's very useful. So again, I wanted the opportunity to ask the attendees, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat window. I can even pause right now and take any additional questions that I have. And as I wait, I'll maybe just open up to one other question, which is one of the main motivating factors behind digitizing government services. What could be direct benefit transfers, it could be government services, is about reducing corruption, and that's kind of the one of the main things that happens. I was reading a research study where, in fact, they had in Bangladesh, actually, what they had found was when some of these services were digitized and information about that was given to officers, actually corruption increased because people realized that they were doing efficient work, and they were like, if I want to do work faster, you should actually pay me more. I don't know how much of that happens in Punjab, but if you can talk a little bit. I mean, one, has the government conducted any research studies or any kind of additional work to document what is the cost saving, or what is is this a net benefit? I mean, we're spending all this money, a lot of effort is going. I mean, we have a sense it should be good, it is good, but is it really good? I mean, do we know that sort of systematically, or what can you tell us about that? And then we'll take over to more Q&A from the people. But I wanted to ask about corruption and the net benefit about this digitization work.
So when I was in King's College, so my dissertation topic was governance, the efficiency, increase in efficiency. So my results was this only. No doubt it has reduced the time, output and outcomes have increased. So we have KPIs where we can monitor. Earlier we were not having KPIs. So efficiency has increased, transparency has increased, and accountability of an officer has increased, because there are certain timelines to it, and we can monitor that. To give you a small example, e-office. So before that, I think in 2009, I started when I was Chief Administrator, Bathinda Development Authority. In FIFO system, we started in our government. So now FIFO is everywhere. 2008, I'm talking about. We were not knowing which files are coming to us, whether they are priority wise, or whether a person who's bringing the file, he has some hidden agenda. He wants to get the file cleared. So FIFO system was implemented. Now e-office also tells us which file comes at what time, and how much time an officer takes to clear the file. So it's a red flag if the timeline has been increased. So we have Right to Service Act, we have Right to Information Act, timelines are defined. So if a particular person is sitting on that file and not clearing that file, we'll get to know. The higher officers, he gets the red flag, and he'll know, and he'll ask for why the file is not being cleared. Second, if I talk about my Mandi board experience, being a secretary Mandi board, so we started e-auction. E-auction, people were not happy. Earlier, it was physical auction of the plots. So a huge amount of money is involved in when you give land to somebody. So physical auction means if three people decide, I'll give first auction, you'll give second, and third, I'm going to buy it. No fourth auction. So my officer will also get involved. The citizens will also get involved. If they have pulled in, there's a cartel. E-auction means a person sitting anywhere, he can bid for that plot, bid for that shop, and take it. There was a big resistance. We started 4 years back this in Punjab Urban Development Authority, even politically, and the person who were having interest in that, and our own officials, they didn't want to do that. We started it. We gave it a press coverage. It became successful. Competition increased. Money started flowing in for the government. So we started the same thing in Mandi board. E-auction was resisted. Till now, it's not happening very, very smoothly. People are making excuses. They don't know how to use digital signatures. They don't know how to open up a bidding portal. But then also we are successfully completed around 200 odd plots. Auctions has taken place. So there are no doubt, there are challenges. People resist this change because ultimately if transparency comes in and accountability bids, so nobody wants that. So they want the information should not be flown to other people who takes a decision. It should be with me and I should take a decision. So I think technology wise, it bridges the gap between a common person and government. I think the more we use technology, the more transparency will come in, the more accountability of the officials will come in. So I think we should promote more and more technology, technological solutions to be in the government sector.
Yeah, so this is very interesting and speaks to some of, I think, one anonymous question that I want to get to. I think it speaks to that already. For those of you who are not aware, I think during 2019, the average pendency of these applications that Sir was talking about was about, I think, 20%, which means that within the deadline, about 20% applications were not being done, but via monitoring by district magistrates, by the DM office and on WhatsApp groups, this naming and shaming approach. The pendency is, I think, reduced now to, I think, less than 1% is what the government claims. And we can also verify that because we've been working with the department on providing them some analytical support. So it does have real world impact. Vinod is asking, can I say Punjab has eradicated corruption? I'll still ask that question to you, but I want to ask an anonymous question, which is, how are the state-society relations being reshaped by bridging the gap to digitization? Does it make the political process more powerful in terms of changing how people perceive the state as authority of influence? So are we giving more power to the state? And is that changing the relationship between state and NGOs or maybe state and civil society? I think that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
The person hasn't given the name, but what do you think?
So corruption is very near to my heart, and since childhood days when we were studying in schools and colleges, when we saw this happening, we were pissed off with the people who used to take money. So I think at that time technology was not there. Now the technology is there, and we are giving power to the citizens so that transparency and the information goes to them. Right to Service Act, right to information. These all are parameters where one can pitch in and ask why you're asking money for the right job. See, to give you an example, change of land use is a money minting machine for people who are into the department who give change land use. So we did it online. We did a deemed CLU wherein you need not come, you just fill a form, and 45 days we have to give you that CLU. So the upper limit is there. Same way, direct benefit transfer to the farmers. I'll show you, I'll give you an example how the relationship between Aaditya, farmer, and a government official has changed because of one intervention of direct benefit to the farmer. Generally, Aaditya is a money lender. He gives money lending on 30%, 40%, even sometimes 50% higher than what bank rates are. They charge interest. So once the farmer comes with the produce, so money comes to the Aaditya. Earlier it used to come to the Aaditya, and Aaditya used to deduct that money. So farmer will not be able to know whether it's 38% or 40% which I am paying. Bank rates are hardly 6%, 7%. But because the informal sector, it's not governed anywhere, Aaditya used to exploit that. Secondly, even my government inspectors who procure, they also used to charge the farmers, providing services per bag. So this is all parallel economy being run, because you see the scale is very high. Scale is 82,000 crore money coming from government of India for procuring the produce. 83,000 crore is a huge amount. If you start thinking in terms of 0.5 paisa or 0.1 paisa also, it becomes huge. So Aaditya, this inspector and this farmer was exploited. Aaditya and inspectors used to take money. So after this direct benefit transfer came in, where money was directly going to the accounts of farmers, farmer will not pay because information has come. So the data has come, this much money is mine, this much produce I have given to government, and this much money I have come to my account. Now he will neither give it to Aaditya because the money comes to him, neither he'll give to any inspector. When government is going to procure whole of my produce, the promises are being made. Why should I pay for anything else? So farmer has been empowered by that data. The DBT changes the dynamics. So once the dynamics changes between interrelation between official, because official Aaditya, if they'll not become hands in hand, then they cannot siphon off money of farmer. They used to do it because money was coming to Aaditya. So now this dynamics has changed. Same way, land record integration. Now record integration has taken place of farmer. So the bogus billing and the produce coming from outside state and being sold in MSP, it's gone. Now only that produce will come. If I'm a farmer, I am of Punjab, then only I'll be able to sell my produce. So that land is integrated. Now I will know how much money I'm going to get, how much produce is there, how much yield is there. So Aaditya cannot take advantage of that. Neither can my inspector, agencies, inspector, procurement agency. So this is the outside intervention which took place, and now I think we'll be able to catch hold of a person who is doing all this bogus billing or fake billing, and also the farmer will not be exploited. He'll be getting his due. So I think slowly and steadily, if we keep on doing more technological interventions, I think we can take care of the corruption issue.
Great. So I think this brings me to two more questions. One is by Ankit and another anonymous person, a bunch of anonymous questions, which is good. And I'm going to reframe them slightly. They're about, how can the state government be agile, reap the benefits, and be inclusive. And to just take one specific example, and we have had this conversation before, but I want to make it, I want the public to be aware of, of one specific. So in the example you talked about, this Arthia farmer, DBT thing that has happened, one exclusion that has happened is the landless farmer, because right now money goes to the land owner who may not necessarily be the cultivator. So inclusive in one aspect, great for, obviously, there's no silver bullet, I understand that, but there's clearly some people who are still being excluded. And the question basically is, can you please shed light on the exclusion and inclusion impacts on citizens? So maybe you can talk about this example or any other example that you have about, how do we resolve that dilemma? Because always, you even hear in, government reports, ki, oh, we have Aadhaar, but people are in Jharkhand unable to put their fingerprint, nahi mil raha hai, uski karan people are, there are some deaths from, from starvation. How does the bureaucracy deal with that challenge? It's one question that we wanted to ask.
Yeah. So 2 points. One was when we talked about data privacy. So we wanted to use this data of facial recognition so that people who are not able to do the biometric, they can be recognized facially. We couldn't do it because the data policy didn't allow that. So we couldn't catch the facial features and have a data base for that, because that was against the data policy. So we didn't do it. Inclusion, what I'll give you an example, like we have J forms. J forms are like PAN cards. PAN cards, we use it for different transaction. KYC is linked. So likewise, farmers have J form. Whatever produce he brings to a mandi, how much amount he gives, which Aaditya he has sold, and which agency he has sold to, that is collected in that J form. So J form is being used by the farmer for getting any stamp duty concessions, or Bima Yojana, which is for 5 lakhs, or any other purpose like income tax rebates. They get it on J forms. So J form is very essential for a farmer. Earlier, what used to happen was a J form was given by a commission agent whom you call Aaditya. That was manually prepared. So he may or may not give it. He takes money for that, or he gives incorrect information to the farmer, because it was manually prepared. It is not prepared as in when the produce comes to the mandi. It'll be prepared after 2-3 months. When farmer will go away from a mandi, and then whenever he comes and asks for it, he'll be given. So dilly dallying takes place. So what we have done, we have made the online J forms. We have incorporated this in DigiLocker, because we have your Aadhaar number. A farmer who has given Aadhaar and a mobile number. So J form is generated, which is QR code based, which any department, either income tax or a Bima company, they can see from the scanning of the QR code, the J form. They can have the access to that information once they scan the QR code. So this J form, as and when a farmer comes to a mandi, within few minutes, once his payment is done, it is given to him online and also to his DigiLocker. So he can use that. So we have included we have around 20 lakh J farm holders right now. We eat paddy, and we are also doing it for fruit and vegetable farmers who are dealing with fruit and vegetable. So this is a big empowerment in the hands of farmers. They don't have to depend upon my government official or commission agent to take that J form. Secondly, whenever he goes to any department, pension, ration, or stamp duty registrar, he can just show that DigiLocker, and the QR code is scanned, and then they get the full information. So it's authentic information which is given to departments and to the farmer. So this is how we are including them. So they were very happy. I think Punjab is the only state who has done digitization of J forms, and farmers feel happy about it. There was no reaction from commission agents because they also thought it's a need of an hour. The commission agents also are saved of the labor, of employing a people and cutting a J forms when farmer needs it. So this is online available, and it's 24/7. It's available on their smartphones.
Great. Yeah, I think these are all very interesting initiatives that are happening. And I hope the audience is able to appreciate, one, both the scale and the complexity and the challenges as well in something like this. We're actually on time. We're out of time, as I understand it. I do want to ask one question that Akhil has, and I guess Vinod has a kind of a cynical, question as well. I want to put both of them together. Akhil's overall question, and probably we can end with this, is, can you, what is the push? Yeah, can you basically compare Punjab with other states in case you have any information about that? But I think the question that I wanted to ask is there a 5 or 10-year roadmap that such and such things have to be digitized? What is the road ahead, for Punjab? And I guess what Akhil is also asking is, how can other states learn from Punjab's experience? So as your concluding thoughts, what would you say about, the roadmap for the future, and how can the lessons we can learn from Punjab, for other states, Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, Tamil Nadu, so on and so forth. And in this, let me add another twist, which Vinod is saying. Vinod's point is, if the government has become so transparent, efficient, and inclusive, why are there such high levels of farmer suicide? So it's a negative question, but I want to put both of them together. What is the future road ahead? And given that it has not completely changed, the picture is changing. Maybe it has not completely radically changed to Vinod's, what he's seeing on the ground. But how can you maybe reconcile the two? And any concluding thoughts that you have about the overall theme would be very welcome. Thank you.
Say I'm also concerned, because we, being born and brought up in Punjab, I am also worried about farmer suicides. I have seen so many of them. Some were really desperate and distressed farmers were there. Their suicides are there. But see, political agenda and administrative agendas are totally different. So administrative agendas are always building up transparency, accountability. We want to deliver services to people. We, having joined the service, the aim was to, downtrodden should be given that service. The last man should be heard, and justice be delivered to them. So whatever technological interventions we have done, we want to ease, life of a normal common person. If I'm a common person, I should be given this service. This is my right. I should be given that. So with regard to farmer suicide, so political things are totally different. So what happens is, we are not taking it as a what I should say, it's not a law and order situation. The economic condition have to be seen. We have to, economically support them. What happens politically is, we start giving them freebies, compensations, 5 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh. That is not going to solve our purpose. We need to support that family. If there is a distress sale, then we need to have, if supposedly I'm a farmer, I have come to a mandi, I am not being given MSP, then government should have a price stabilization fund. So the gap should be given to that farmer if he is not able to sell that on MSP. Example, maize has a MSP, because government doesn't procure, private people procure it. Generally, the price comes down. So 2,300 is a MSP for a maize, but generally when a farmer comes and there is production is high, this will be around 1,200, 1,300, being sold, rupees being sold. So the gap should be filled by government. There is hardly any price stabilization fund right now. We are fighting for that. We have been, citing examples. We should have that so that we can support the farmers. Once a farmer dies, commits suicide, giving away the loan whatever loans are due to him, it doesn't make sends a healthy signal to that family. 46,000 crore. This is a figure. 46,000 crore has been given as a debt relief to farmers. Whether this debt was basically given, whether there was a distress sale, whether a farmer really needed that, whether somebody was asking, whether they were big farmers, what was their need. See, this was a political this thing. Administratively, we have to see, we don't give once a person commits suicide. If he comes for a distress sale, then and there itself we should give that fund to him so that he can sustain his livelihood, he can do a farming. So my political, like I told, political and administrative agendas are totally different. We see from a bureaucratic administrative point of view, they have their own compulsions. They have to see their vote bank, how to give funds. But my point of view is we need to have a price stabilization fund. Second, the question was learning from other states. Punjab, I'll not say Punjab has done wonders. We have Haryana. Haryana e-governance society is much better. They have huge funds at their disposal. They have started, I think it's almost 5-6 years they have been doing different projects in e-governance. But what personally the best state in e-governance I believe is Karnataka. Karnataka started way back in 2000, where they had huge budget and huge systems. What we are seeing now, the Bhumi project which they started in 2002, the land record, integration, the land record, computerization, the services they're giving to farmers, all integrated. So I think Karnataka is the best state to be followed in e-governance. The amount of services they are giving to their citizens, I think they are par excellence. They are around 1,000 plus services digitally given. But no doubt the citizens also digitally literate. So they also citizens, the demand is high. Punjab, the demand is also not high. So there is a, from our side, because the demand is not high, the supply is also not so high. So if I think in times to come, the demand starts increasing, Punjab will also start delivering more services. But we are at e-governance society, we are 100% committed. We started with 100 odd services. Now we are around 400 plus services, which we are giving online. I think in days to come, we'll also increase, and learning from other states, I think we'll also deliver.
Oh, so that's, I think, a good note to conclude on. Some note of optimism, although, as you rightly pointed out, a lot of challenges remain, and not just in Punjab, across the country. This is not supposed to be a silver bullet digitization. It has to complement other approaches as well. I don't think anybody thinks that you digitize and you do this and it's going to solve all problems. It will create new problems. Those will also have to be solved. And I think once again, thank you very much for sharing your candid opinions. I like the examples, and talking about the politics of it is very, very important as well. The bureaucracy, how it interacts, the agenda of the politicians, the agenda of the bureaucracy, and overall the future, what the next few years has in store for Punjab at least. So with that, I think this is a good place to stop. We've already gone a bit over time, so I want to be cognizant of that. Thank you once again for sharing your insights, and we are very delighted to have you at ISP and hope to keep engaging with you in the future.
Same here. Thank you very much for having me here. I thank ISB, the whole team. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone. So that's a wrap on the Business and Policy Dialogue. Hope to see you all in the next edition. See you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.